You know, we're all living in this world of smart devices now. It's pretty amazing, right? Our lights know when we get home, our speakers are our personal DJs, our watches are basically health coaches. It all just works. But behind that super convenient, seamless curtain, there's this kind of wild, unregulated frontier. And honestly, we're only just starting to figure out what that really means.
I mean, take this smart speaker. We all love it for that wow factor, right? It's our little digital butler that can order a pizza or tell us if we need an umbrella. But here's the thing you probably don't think about. This device, and literally millions of others just like it, can be hijacked. They can be turned into a massive digital army to launch cyber attacks. Attacks so big they can knock major websites offline for an entire country. The convenience is right there in your face, but the danger? It's hidden in plain sight.
And this quote right here, it just nails the heart of the problem we're unpacking. The technology is moving at lightning speed, but the rules, our laws, our ethics, our whole sense of what's right and wrong, they're just struggling to keep pace. And that huge gap between the two, that's where some of the biggest challenges of our time are starting to appear.
So, to really get a handle on all this, we first need to understand the sheer scale of this new connected reality. So let's talk about the smart device invasion.
The official name for all this stuff is the Internet of Things, or IoT. And look, this isn't just about your phone and your laptop anymore. We're talking about a world where all the lines are blurring. Your car is basically a computer on wheels. Your personal health data lives in the cloud. Your entire home is becoming a network of connected sensors. It's a really fundamental shift in how we interact with, well, everything.
And to really wrap your head around just how big this change is, the source material gives us a perfect comparison: the Industrial Revolution. That whole era wasn't just about new machines, it completely upended society. People flocked to cities, we had to create brand new child labor laws, the very idea of work changed forever. The IoT is having that same kind of society-shaking impact, but it's happening digitally, globally, and way, way faster.
All of this new power, all of this rapid change, has basically created what you can only call technology's Wild West. We've got all this incredible new tech out there, but there's no sheriff in town, and very few rules to play by.
So remember that digital army I was talking about? Well, this is a real-world example. Back in 2016, this piece of malware called Mirai infected hundreds of thousands of devices with really weak security. We're talking webcams, DVRs, you name it. And it used them to attack the very backbone of the internet. It was a huge mess. So here's the billion-dollar question. Who's legally responsible for that? The hackers? Yeah, sure, if you could even find them. But what about the companies that made and sold all these insecure devices to begin with?
And the answer is, well, it's pretty unsettling. The short answer is no one. There's just no clear legal framework in place that says if you make a device, you're on the hook for the damage it causes if you didn't bother to secure it properly. Our technology has lapped our laws, leaving them completely in the dust.
Okay, let's forget the huge internet attacks for a second and make this really personal. Picture this, and this has actually happened to people. Your baby monitor, the thing you bought for peace of mind, gets hacked. And now some stranger somewhere in the world can watch your kid and even scream at them through the speaker. The legal question is a mess for sure, but the ethical one, it's staring us right in the face. Who is morally responsible for that kind of nightmare?
And this brings us to the next, really critical part of the puzzle, which gets even trickier when the machines themselves start making the calls. Who is held responsible?
This isn't some abstract philosophy puzzle anymore. This is a real engineering problem that people are trying to solve right now. Imagine a self-driving car in a no-win scenario. Does it swerve to avoid hitting a group of pedestrians, knowing that the swerve might harm or even kill its own passenger? Or does it stay the course to protect the passenger but hit the people in the road? A decision has to be made, which means a programmer, a human being, has to write the code that makes that terrible choice.
So this all boils down to two fundamental, massive questions. First, how do you literally program a moral code into a machine? And second, when that machine makes a choice, especially a tragic one, who is accountable? Is it the owner, the manufacturer, the programmer who wrote the code? The computer scientist Francine Berman argues that these are the questions we have to answer now, in the design phase, not after something terrible has already happened.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. But there are ways forward. It's not all doom and gloom. Which brings us to a potential solution. A code for connection.
So how do we get started? Well, Francine Berman suggests a really smart analogy. Think about how we manage medicine. We don't treat all drugs the same, right? Some stuff, like aspirin, is low risk. You can get it over the counter.
Other drugs are more powerful, so you need a doctor's prescription. You need some expert guidance. And then you've got the really high-risk stuff that can only be used in a hospital, under a specialist control. We could start thinking about IoT technology in exactly the same way.
And what this really highlights is that the solution isn't just one big law dropped down from the government. It's about creating a shared social understanding, a framework for responsibility. It's on the companies making the stuff, it's on the governments regulating it, and it's on us, the people who actually use these devices. We all have a part to play in building a system that actually works for the public good.
This leads us right to our final section, which is all about the practical things we can actually do. So let's talk about building a smarter and a much safer future.
The source material makes a really interesting point here. Because all of this is so new, the knee-jerk reaction to just pass a bunch of laws might actually do more harm than good. The smarter move? Let's experiment in smaller, more controlled environments first. Let's figure out the best privacy and security practices inside one smart building, or across a university campus, or in a single smart city project. We can learn what actually works and what doesn't, and then let that real-world experience guide us in making better, more effective rules down the road.
And while we're experimenting, these are the principles that should be non-negotiable for every new product. Security can't be some feature you add on at the end. It has to be the absolute foundation. Privacy can't be buried in a settings menu. It has to be built in from the start. And those bigger goals, promoting the public good and designing systems where someone is actually accountable, those need to be a priority from day one of the design process.
And if there's one point that gets hammered home again and again, it's this: security is everything. It is the weak point, the Achilles heel, that can bring this whole amazing system crashing down. It doesn't matter if it's a baby monitor or the national power grid. If it's not secure, all those cool, wow features are just built on a house of cards.
So after all of that, this whole big conversation comes right back to us, to you and me. We're making these choices every single day. Our digital assistants, they get smarter by learning from us, by listening to us. So to get a more helpful tool, we're giving up little pieces of our privacy. The final question, then, is a personal one for you to think about. Where do you draw that line? What's the trade-off you're willing to make for a little more convenience? And is it worth it?